Hello and welcome. Tonight, Boko Haram terrorists kill 4 persons, including a soldier, in an ambush along Gwaza-Limankara Road in Borno State. President Bola Tinubu directs security agencies to rescue the remaining female students of the Federal University Gusau, Zamfara State, who were abducted on Friday. Anglican Bishop of Jos Diocese, Reverend Benjamin Kwashi, warns against politicization of religion and security in the country. And American Space Agency NASA confirms the return of a long-awaited capsule carrying largest asteroid samples into the United States. We begin with security, specifically from the northeast region, where 4 persons, including a soldier, have been killed in an ambush along Gwaza-Limankara Road in Borno State on Saturday evening by Boko Haram terrorists. According to a resident of the community who confirmed the incident to Channels Television, the 4 persons were killed in a convoy comprising civilian JTF and the military who were escorting passengers along the route. Several other motorists were said to have been abducted by the insurgents, who also set ablaze a military patrol van and 5 other vehicles. Gwaza is about 134 kilometers from Maiduguri, the state capital, and has been a target for terrorists in the past. Although the attack happened on Saturday, poor communication network prevented the community from getting the information to the appropriate authorities. Meanwhile, 48 hours after some female students of the Federal University Gusau in Zamfara State were abducted by terrorists, President Bola Tinubu has given security operatives a marching order to rescue the remaining students. President Tinubu, while giving the order, condemned the abduction, which he described as reprehensible and heinous on the youth who were in pursuit of quality education. The president, in a statement signed by spokesperson Ajuri Ngalale, commiserates with all families affected by the sad incident. He then promised the protection of every citizen, assuring to expend every effort in the safe return of the students. Over 24 students of the Federal University were abducted last week Friday, but 6 of them, all female, were later rescued the same day. To politics now, the governor of Bayelsa State, Doye Diri, says he is optimistic of victory and confident that results will not be manipulated in November's governorship election, given the deployment of technology. Governor Diri, who shared his position during the inauguration of the People's Democratic Party Governorship Election Campaign Council in Yenagoa, the state capital, believes that his party structure will play a critical result in the exercise. The member representing Ogbia Federal Constituency in the National Assembly, Mr. Mitema Bodo, who was appointed the Director General of the campaign, says the campaigns will be issue-based.
We are going to perform this responsibility with the wings of victory, because we will be relying on all your achievements. Pain shall be issue-based, our campaign shall be grassroots-based, and we are convinced that we are riding to victory because we know that the candidates we have and the candidate we are presenting today is one that is sellable.
This is a beavers election. We have the numbers. We have the committed and determined people across Bayelsa State. And nobody is going to write a result. Security will do security. This is a standalone election. At local government, we have rural development authorities. At local government, we have local government caretaker committees. And then thousands of appointees. So what are we afraid of? So please, as you go back, those of us who nominated agents, they are very, very important to our winning this election.
In Imo State, youth across the 12 local governments that make up the Imo West Senatorial District, also known as Olu Zone, in the state have promised to vote massively and ensure the re-election of the incumbent governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, who is also from Olu Zone. This was the submission of the youth at a youth summit in Amefike community in Olu local government area of the state. The youth there say they will support the governor in the fight against insecurity in Imo.
This is a gathering of youths from the 12 local government areas that make up the Olu Zone in Imo State. The St. Mary Community School ground is filled to capacity with youths whose songs and banners show where they're pitching their tent. One after the other, they give reasons why they are backing the governor.
Look at the higher institutions in Olu Zone. Is it University of Agriculture? Is it Kema Is it the new polytechnic in Omoma? Is it the rehabilitated college of health sciences at Amigo? The reconstructed and accredited school of nursing at Aomama? Our governor has done well.
Some lawmakers from the zone cites the governor's performances in the last 3 years. They say he deserves a second term.
Our duty is very simple: to reach out to our fellow youths in other zones, in our Cuban zone, in our Wellness zone, to convince them and tell them the reason why Senator Hope Uzodimma should be sent back to continue the good work he has been doing in Imo State.
The Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma says his administration will continue to come up with youth-oriented programs for the development of the youth in the state. The governor, who is represented by his chief of staff, says a vote in support for Hope Uzodimma is a vote for peace and development in the state.
He has promised to offer Olu youths life-changing opportunities through employment, one, through Skill Up Imo, and through qualitative education. With education, you know, you can go anywhere and you can be anything. You are confronted with a new hope and optimism. This hope we have is real. This hope we have is God sent. This hope we have is good. This hope we have, you must vote again, 11-23. You must vote for hope, for a better life for all youths.
The governorship election in the state is 6 weeks away. As political activities gather momentum, the electorate are looking forward to a credible election.
Political leaders have been admonished to be sensitive to the yearnings and aspirations of citizens by creating and implementing policies that will have direct bearing on the citizens. This is the view of the outgoing Bishop of Jos Diocese, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Benjamin Kwashi, after the valedictory service at the Cathedral Church of St. Luke in Jos.
Clergymen from various denominations, Congregation of Anglican Communion Jos, family and friends, including the governor of Plateau State, and government officials converged on the Cathedral Church of St. Luke, Jos North Central, Nigeria, to witness the valedictory service and valedictory Eucharist in honor of Most Reverend Benjamin Kwashi, who is bowing out as Bishop of Jos Diocese after 31 years of service. Outgoing Anglican Bishop is optimistic of a better Nigeria as he warns against the politicization of religion, security, and other government policies.
Leaders need to be sensitive, not to play politics with religion. They have dived into religion and it is unhealthy for any nation. No nation thrives where there's religious suspicion, especially when it is politicized.
Special ministrations by the Women and Children Department is one of the highlights at the service. governor of Plateau State identifies the positive role of the church in nation building, particularly the fatherly role of the outgoing bishop.
The church has always been the conscience of society, and one of the key leaders of the church of the Plateau that has exemplified that conscientization role is the Archbishop Ben Kwashi, who is retiring today. We have come to celebrate God's faithfulness in his life and to also thank God for what he has used him to do, not only in the Anglican communion, but in the body of Christ as a whole.
The service climaxes with a guard of honor and sword crossing by the Boys Brigade of Nigeria, to the admiration of congregants. Although Bishop Benjamin Kwashi administratively ceases to operate as the Bishop of Jos, he is continuing as the Secretary General of Global African Future Conference worldwide.
Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria's economy will receive a boost under President Bola Tinubu. He made this known when he received some visitors, including former classmates of the Vice President, as well as members of his NYSC set. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
It's a moment of reunion for Vice President Kashim Shettima as he meets his alumni from the University of Ibadan, where he studied agricultural economics at a postgraduate level. Senator Shettima seizes the opportunity to reiterate President Bola Tinubu's plans to improve the livelihood of the citizens. In a statement issued by a senior special assistant on media and communications, Mr. Stanley Nkwocha, Senator Shettima says, "To me, it is a humbling experience. It is an opportunity to add value to a great nation like ours, more so that Nigeria's anticipated demographic bulge suggests we improve the quality of governance in the bid to mitigate any looming demographic disaster." End of quote. The Vice President also meets his colleagues whom he served the nation with under the National Youth Service Corps NYSC scheme between 1989 and 1990. Aside from catching up on old times, the two meetings provide an opportunity to discuss issues of national interest, as the leaders of the delegations who spoke to State House correspondents shortly after the meeting encouraged the government to prioritize improving agricultural production.
If the issue of food is solved in this country, we believe strongly that half of the problem of Nigeria is solved. So we are here to encourage him on the issue of all-year-round food production and value addition to food.
We are happy that this administration is administration with a foresight, particularly on the economic angle. His Excellency, the Vice President, together with the President, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, GCFR, they have a very wonderful track record, particularly on the economic angle, and we believe Nigeria should be patient with this administration. At the end of the day, things will be better.
The visitors also formally congratulated the Vice President and the President for their victory at the 2023 presidential polls and at the recent presidential election petition court. From the presidential villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, as the Naira continues its downward trend against the US dollar, Channels Television's data analyst Babajide Ogunsowo will be taking a look at the management of the country's foreign exchange in the last couple of years. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Boko Haram terrorists kill 4 persons, including a soldier, in an ambush along Gwoza Limankara Road in Borno State. President Bola Tinubu directs security agencies to rescue the remaining female students of the Federal University Gusau, Zamfara State, who were abducted on Friday. Anglican Bishop of Jos Diocese, Reverend Benjamin Kwashi, warns against politicization of religion and security in the country. And American Space Agency NASA confirms the return of a long-awaited capsule carrying largest asteroid samples into the United States. There is still an underrepresentation of women at all levels of decision-making in the country, and the federal government has been called upon to increase the quota of women's participation and leadership in political and public life. This was highlighted during the UN Women briefing in Abuja by the UN Women Regional Director, West and Central Africa, Mr. Maxime Humata. He says much still needs to be done in addressing gender inequality by providing women with the same access as men, as advancing equal rights and opportunities is critical for a sustainable future. He also spoke on other issues affecting women globally.
We have to put hands on the deck, ensure that we contribute with governments to concretely change the lives of women and girls. Because the figures that we are having in Nigeria is not good. Nigeria has been showing the way in a lot of areas in Africa, and we want Nigeria to also show the way in the area of political participation and the participation of women in leadership. Government have proven severally that they have the political will to see women access to political position. For instance, the way we deal with rape cases. In some countries, I write journalists reports on rape cases where they focus so much on the survivor and the victim, talking about the way she was dressed, talking about the time she went out, talking about the places she went that brought to her the rape that we are talking about, instead of taking the opportunity to educate the population on the legal framework. Some countries, judges, where they say in the law that the person should be punished from 3 months to 10 years, and the judges will be systematically given 3 months. And since the person was maybe 4 months in jail before the trial, then they give the person 3 months, the person just walk out. Why would the judge be given 3 months all the time when the possibility of 10 years to discourage this kind of crime?
This week, the value of the naira relative to the dollar at the parallel market reached an all-time high. The central bank also postponed its monetary policy meeting. Our focus tonight is on Nigeria's volatile exchange rate and its impact on businesses and, of course, citizens. Babajide Ogunso, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share insights. Babajide, great to have you again on the news.
Good evening.
All right, so let's get into it. There have been various perspectives, Babajide, on the reasons why the exchange rate has been volatile in recent weeks. Tell us, what indeed are the facts?
Now, there are lots of things why the exchange rate has been volatile, Ayotunde. But what we've seen is there seems to be a focus on just one of the reasons, and which is that we still largely depend on crude oil. However, what has shown, and if we follow the data, what we've seen is that there are lots of reasons. It's like a car. If the car doesn't move well, it's not just because the driver doesn't know how to drive. Sometimes you need to change the tires, sometimes you need wheel balancing and alignment, sometimes it's even the quality of the road. But what we've seen, Ayotunde, is that if we look at our history, history is repeating itself. In other words, Ayotunde, we shouldn't be surprised that we found ourselves here. I'd like us to take a look at this critical history, looking at the situation even as far back as half a century ago. Because if we take a look at the exchange rates, it will allow us to see the uncertainties that have been happening. Remember in 1970, with 71 kobo, you could get $1. In 1980, with 54 kobo, you could get 1 naira. In 1990, you then required 8 naira 70 kobo. The interesting thing is, when we started democracy, the return to democracy in 1999, going into 2000, the exchange rates, again, this is still less than 3 decades ago, 106 naira as at 2000. But what we've seen is consistently, just as history has been happening, the trend shows where we are because we have refused to understand that over time, the value of the naira has been depreciating. In simple terms, when we talk about inflation, inflation does not only mean that the price and the cost of goods and services are going up. Inflation also means that the value of your currency is declining. And so over the years, we focused on inflation from just the perspective of the price of things are going up without understanding that what has happened is the naira has been losing value year on year. In simple terms, I bought this for you.
The new 1,000 naira.
The new 1,000 naira note. But the fact shows, based on the way inflation is going, this 1,000 naira note within 2 years, like magic, will become
the old 500 naira note.
In simple terms, because of inflation, the 1,000 naira note is losing value like all other currencies. 25.9% inflation rate means that every day, not just every year, every day, the naira is getting weaker. In simple terms, if we continue at this rate, 1,000 naira as of today will be equivalent of 500 naira in 2 years. And so because of these reasons, a lot of people do not see the naira as a store of value anymore. And so the alternative is to look at a currency that they believe holds value, and that is the dollars. And don't forget, Nigeria does not print dollars. And so we are limited to the supply of dollars, even though many more families and businesses will seek to hold the dollar now rather than hold the naira.
So now, of course, President Bola Tinubu has spoken at several summits, speaking on the opportunities abound in investing in Nigeria, investment opportunities and financial returns in Nigeria. But do you think this will go a long way to help stabilize the naira as against the dollar?
The first is, what the president has done is what every right-thinking president will do: to speak to investors about the opportunities and the potential for financial gain in Nigeria. The challenge, Ayotunde, is that beyond what the president says, beyond the opportunities and the returns the president is promising, what a lot of investors are seeing when they look at Nigeria are the risks. And the data also talks about this. I'd like us to look at foreign direct investment, even from the perspective of the National Bureau of Statistics and the Central Bank, who have released the data, this year's data, on how much investment is coming into Nigeria. And if we take a look at that right number, we see that shocking number, $48 million only. And why do I say only? This is the lowest foreign direct investment that has come into Nigeria since we've started recording foreign direct investments within this decade. $48 million, first quarter 2023. Again, this wasn't just because of the elections. If we look at the first quarter 2019, we saw better results. Again, first quarter 2019, $247 million came in, even though it was an election year. And if we still go back into 2015, even though first quarter 2015 was an election year, $395 million. So if we look at our history, first quarter 2023 is, for a lot of investors, shows doom. Again, because looking at our history, this has been the lowest foreign direct investment quarter in this decade. And that is the challenge. The president is doing the right thing by speaking about opportunities and the returns, but investors are seeing risk. And they are seeing risk because they look at how easy will it be for them to convert their investments into dollars and repatriate it. And so, yes, the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank is talking about these challenges. A lot of investors have their funds stuck and they haven't been able to repatriate dividends, and they see that there are real challenges that the country has to face.
So what is the the situation concerning the country's dollar reserves at the CBN. What can you say about that presently?
Presently, before we talk about the present, we need to talk about the history. Ayotunde, at some point in 2008, this time September 2008, Nigeria's external reserves, $68 billion. You heard me right, $68 billion this time, 2008. Now let's take a look at the position in September 2023. And when we take a look at that, here's the shocking thing. We're not at $68 billion, we're not at $40 billion, neither are we at $45 billion or 50. $33 billion. Again, keep that number in mind, $68 billion in 2008. We are nowhere near where we were in 2008. What about 2019? 4 years ago, $41 billion. Again, we are no longer even close to where we were in 2019. Where are we today? We are back to 2011, 2015 period, 30, 31, 32 billion dollars. In simple terms, investors take a look at these numbers and what they see beyond the opportunities in Nigeria, they see the risks. Can the central bank protect the naira? Some even argue, Ayo, that these external reserves are gross and the picture might not even be complete. That if you adjust these external reserves for a lot of unknowns, the situation as of September 2023 might even be more there.
So, Babajide, what is the real value of the naira as we speak?
If you ask me, Ayotunde, the real value of the naira is tough. But what we know is why are investors and why is everybody dumping the naira? And I'd like you to carefully listen to me. Inflation rate, 25.8% based on the report we have. In other words, you want returns that are higher than that. But let's take a look at the core money market indicators in Nigeria that will allow us to understand why people feel that the naira may be fast becoming tissue paper. Savings rate, you take your money to the bank, you get 5%. However, inflation, 25%. In other words, you lose money by taking your money to the bank. You want to fix your money for a year, you get less than 8%. Inflation, 25%. Ayotunde, you lose money if you fix. The government offers treasury bills, an alternative investment. However, if you buy that, you get just about 9%. Inflation, 25%, so you lose money. What about the long-term bond yields? If you buy that, the government gives you, or you get as a return, 13%. Again, inflation, 25%. So traditional investment options still make you lose money on the naira. And so what are people turning to? If you don't get returns on your savings or your fixed deposit or treasury bills or government bonds, one thing that has shown for a lot of people, businesses and citizens, that will protect their naira is if they convert their naira to dollars. But don't forget how we started. The federal government and the central bank does not print dollars. And so everybody's rushing to the dollars, everybody's rushing out of the naira and into the dollars. And so the value of the dollar keeps rising. Again, don't forget, I don't know how much this will buy you today, but you surely could keep it. But never forget, because of the way things are going, 1,000 naira will soon become 500 naira. But again, let's not lose hope. We're saying that the central bank will reconvene soon. We see a new governor at the central bank who seems to understand, based on his experience, how to handle such crisis. So what we expect is, in the days ahead, we'll see a new leadership of the central bank that will improve potentially the value of the currency and take the Nigerian naira to where it really belongs to, and that's the top. Don't forget our history. We've seen the naira at some point in time stronger than the dollar. We've seen it move to 102 naira. But even if the naira is going to lose value, there are some inherent benefits, export benefits that we could get from a weaker naira that we also need to explore. So the vision and the mission of Yemi Cardoso has to be very razor sharp.
Indeed, the new CBN governor has his work cut out for him, and let's hope that we'll get back to those glory days where the naira has.
We surely will. We have the potential to, Ayotunde.
Babajide Gusau, thank you so much for your thoughts again on the News at 10.
The pleasure is all mine.
The Nigerian economic growth faces significant challenges, notably stemming from policy inconsistency and the inappropriate choice of language. This is the view of a political economist, Dr. Obi Okonkwo, in an interview with Channels Television. He underscores that irrespective of political affiliations, the government can transform potential into tangible results by employing precise and action-aligned language.
The words of a president can rock the stock exchange, somebody in authority. So I only hope that, being a new government, they will realize the powers and authority around both the spoken, unspoken words of somebody in office, and then also, in the same manner, they've said one or two things, even without acting, that is having ripple effect on the economy. I wish they can also think of how to position these words to give the hope that we need now, that will start affecting the economy positively before they will have time now to readjust, because it's to our own interest that everything goes well, irrespective of who is in office.
To catch the complete interview, watch Newsnight at 9 p.m. on Monday, September the 25th, exclusively on Channels Television. The deplorable state of most of the federal roads in Delta State is once again brought to the fore at a courtesy visit by the Minister of Niger Delta and his team to the Governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborewori, at the Governor's Lodge in Asaba, the Delta State capital. This visit is part of the federal government's effort to seek collaboration of the state governments to ensure that the Niger Delta region benefits from quality projects in the administration of President Bola Tinubu.
The Agbo-Benin Expressway, a major federal road, is yet to get adequate attention for years, posing difficulty for commuters and motorists plying these routes. Motorists fall into crater-like ditches, ruining their vehicles, making them vulnerable to attacks by criminals. This is why the Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Mr. Abubakar Momo, and his team are in Asaba Delta State to seek the support and collaboration of the Delta State government to fix the road. Mr. Momo says his delegation is in the state as part of his stakeholders' visit to the Niger Delta region to prioritize projects based on the needs of the people.
If the ministry can come together with the state governments to identify some of these areas, I believe we'll do better than it will. We want to make sure we make a difference by trying to shift from what used to happen in the past, because the man we're working with, the president, Senator Bola Tinubu, is a man that is desirous of achieving results.
His host, Governor Sheriff Oborewori, is deeply concerned about the plight of the people of the Niger Delta region being starved of critical infrastructure despite the huge contribution from the region.
This region produces the highest wealth and we use the runnings. So attention ought to be paid to the region. Now, another challenge again, federal government will direct the people in position to think about themselves. Please, this is the opportunity you have to put the record straight. Those that are going to be in charge, whether the contractors or those who are going to give out job and all that, they should do the right thing. Because what is causing all this problem is shortcuts.
Recently, delegations from the federal government have visited the state on fact-finding missions and inspections. The people are hopeful that these visits will translate into results to end their sufferings.
Staying with infrastructure, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has commended the Governor of Cross River State, Basi Otu, over the use of concrete for road construction in the state. The minister says the initiative is great, where he promised that the federal government will support the state. The minister was speaking after a two-day tour of federal road projects across the state, stressing on the importance of concrete road construction.
so excited, being on top of one of the concrete roads you have started here in Cross River. And this is exactly what we are talking about. For the next 50 years, this road will continue to be like this. You have also put in drainage by the sides. I'm told that you are going to plant masquerade by the sides and also put solar lights. What else are we talking about? That is development. That is bringing succor to the people. And I want to assure you, Excellency, yes, these rural roads, and trunk B roads, you can use BRC mesh. And then for the trunk A roads, federal roads, and the state federal, trunk A roads, you can do our design also on reinforcement. But great, 30 concrete is the answer. Vibration of the concrete is the answer. Preparation of the subgrade and the base course, they are the answer. The moment you do this and you put this, nobody will bother again about a bad contractor.
Who is pleased by the visit of the minister assures the residents of more connecting road networks across the state.
Honorable Minister, this particular road was completely impassable.
Wow. Yes. Wow.
It was a terrible one, but today you've seen the happiness on the faces of the people here. We are going to replicate this in many, many, many localities.
Wow.
And so far as you've assured and guaranteed us of your support, by the time you come back, because you promised to come back,
yes,
Calabar, the state as a whole, will be a different place. So we'll continue to thank you, and we thank the people for their patience. For those who have not gotten to them yet, please exercise some patience. We'll get you everywhere. The journey of 1,000 miles
begins with a step.
Always starts with a step. So we'll reach everywhere. We want to give you every assurance that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing its very best to make sure that the life of Nigerians is going to change.
The Akwa Ibom state government says the bill on the leadership of traditional rulers before the state assembly is not new, but a reflection of an agreement between traditional rulers and the state government. Some traditional rulers in the state had kicked against the bill, which seeks to stop the rotational headship of the traditional council. The State Commissioner for Information, Ini Ememobong, however, told Channels Television that the current administration is only formalizing the agreement reached between the former governor and the traditional rulers.
In May 2023, just as that administration was finishing, the traditional rulers in a meeting with the former rulers in a meeting with the former governor and the current governor had another agreement and said, okay, since we have the president, let's create offices of the vice president 1 and 2 to reflect the 3 senatorial district composition, which also, incidentally, we have 3 major tribes there, the Ibibios, the Anangs, and the Oron. And it was agreed. All of them agreed to that. And therefore, since there was already an existing law which did not capture the things that they wanted, the law sent to the House of Assembly in September 2023 is simply a reflection of the agreement that their royal majesties had on that day. And therefore, all of them having agreed without a single dissension, the duty of the state government was to forward that law to the House of Assembly. And that law was passed. And therefore, His Excellency the Governor had no input in the bill. The bill was simply a reflection of their majesties. So therefore, the protest is misplaced. The protest is either misconstrued or it has political undertone. His Excellency Pastor Moina has said, the traditional rulers should, in their council, because we seem to find that there are political underpinnings beyond what the traditional, because only the traditional rulers can discuss their matters. And the Council of Chiefs is in existence. So they can, in their council, according to His Excellency's position, sit down and say, if they say the law as passed is not fine by them, it's their matter. They sit again and say, look, this is an amendment to an existing law. That is the truth. So they can again now sit and say, well, we had agreed in May, but we no longer agree now. If they say so, and that is the general wish of the council, then His Excellency would enforce their will. But to say that the law has passed is obnoxious is a lie.
Nasarawa State indigents residing in Lagos under the auspices of the Lagos State chapter of Nasarawa State Development Association defined the range to express their displeasure over the alleged sale of the State Liaison Office in Lagos. The said property, located on plot 1234 Bishop Uluwale Street in Victoria Island, Lagos, is said to have been sold to self by the immediate past governor of the state, Ntotanko Almakura, while he was governor of the state. According to them, the protest was convened following police harassment on staff and other indigents residing in the premises in the guise of evicting illegal occupants ordered by the Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule. The aggrieved indigents are asking the state government to investigate the sale of the property, just as they demand the protection of their lives and property owned by the people of Nasarawa State in Lagos.
We wish to register our strong protest against any action that will compromise the state ownership status of usage of Nasarawa State Licensing Office in Lagos. This property holds significant importance to the Nasarawa State community in Lagos, serving as a symbol of a state presence and influence the economic capital city. We repose this gross misconduct and are ready to defend our collective asset, which all our strength. We cannot allow Senator Almakura or any single individual to mortgage the state and our collective assets. It should be noted that we will not vacate Nasarawa State Licensing Office, even if Your Excellency or Senator Almakura unleashes the entire armory of the Nigeria police force on us. Yes. And no harm should be allowed to afflict any members of our association. Otherwise, we will hold you responsible. Yes. Nevertheless, even if the purported sale of the licensing office legally happened in compliance with the public procurement procedure, which is doubtful, considering the lack of transparency that shrouded the entire process, we deserve to be adequately notified with reasonable duration to prepare our mind for vacation of the property instead of treating us in the statutory, oppressive, malicious, brutish, and disdain manner.
The Lagos State Parks and Garages Administrators has kicked against a planned protest by the state chapter of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria in support of one of its affiliates, the Road Transport Employees Association of Nigeria. The objection follows the TUC's threat to embark on an indefinite industrial action in Lagos State over the continuous suspension of RTN's activities with the union, and despite letters to the government to respect a 2022 court order according to its national president Festus Osifo. However, Laspaga described the development as disturbing and argued that the existence of the body was in line with the pronouncement of the state government, and the protest will amount to acting in contradiction to the court ruling.
Of the leadership of the Lagos State Parks and Garages Administrators, Laspaga, has been drawn to a news of a purported planned protest in Lagos State on Monday, September 25, 2003 by the Trade Union Congress, TUC. This news to us is not only disturbing but also debasing and demeaning the position of the mother body to be relegated to chasing shadows. To put the record straight, the 18th of April judgment of the National Industrial Court, NIC, does not by any means affect the creation of Laspaga. As a matter of fact, there is still a pending case at the Court of Appeal where the verdict of the NLC is being appealed. TUC, as a respected organization, should understand the procedures of the court and should therefore respect it. It is crystal clear that the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria itself is suffering from internal conflicts, which has led to the body having fractions and factions.
Welcome to Sports News. Super Eagles forward Victor Boniface's fine start to life in the German Bundesliga continues as Bayer Leverkusen kept the heat on leaders Bayern Munich with a resounding 4-1 victory over Heidenheim this evening. The 22-year-old, who joined Leverkusen from Belgian side Union Saint-Gilloise in July, has impressed in Germany, netting a brace in the win to take his goals tally to 6 this season in the Bundesliga and 8 in all competitions. Newcastle United matched their 1999 English Premier League record win with a scintillating display as they embarrassed winless Sheffield United 8-0 at Bramall Lane. It was the same scoreline the Magpies beat Sheffield Wednesday some 24 years ago. The first North London derby of the season finished level as Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur played out a 2-2 draw at the Emirates. Chelsea's stuttering start to the season has taken another turn for the worse as Aston Villa piled more misery on the 10-man Blues with victory at Stamford Bridge. Darwin Núñez, the Uruguayan international, scored a fine goal as Liverpool saw off West Ham United at Anfield to extend their unbeaten run to 18 games. Cooperation between Nigeria and China is growing stronger by the day, all thanks to China's offer of opportunities to keep improving the Nigerian economy and the people. The height of the partnerships and cooperation was highlighted at the celebration of the National Day for both countries, as well as the Mid-Autumn Festival and inauguration of the 4th session of the Chinese Enterprises Association established in Nigeria. Our correspondent Amarachi Uban reports.
China is at least 9,903 kilometers from Nigeria. But that is no hindrance for the Chinese in the country to commemorate the festivals and events just as they would have back home. That's what happened this weekend in Lagos as the Chinese government marked 4 occasions in one. The national days of both Nigeria and China, which fall on October 1st, China marking 73 years and Nigeria marking 63. The Mid-Autumn Festival, the 20th anniversary of the Chinese Enterprises Association established in Nigeria, CICEA for short, and the inauguration of the 4th session of the association. Amidst the declarations signifying joint partnerships between both countries, the Chinese Consul General in Lagos, Yan Yuting, welcomed the guests in Chinese.
Mr. Anidang Dolabo Bagus.
She would later speak on cooperation and partnerships between the two countries.
Nigeria is a very important strategic partner of China, and our two countries developed in many areas, just like political and economic and people-to-people exchange. So I really will that our cooperation and economic and people-to-people exchange will strengthen in the future.
The hall is filled with members of the Chinese community in Lagos and their Nigerian friends. The Minister of State Steel Development, Uba Megari Ahmadu, representing the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, not only extolled the relationship between the two countries, but pointed out China's role in development and industrialization.
China's enduring support has significantly contributed to Nigeria's advancement across various facets of national development, encompassing technology, infrastructure, science, steel production, marine affairs, and the blue economy, among others.
The event closed with activities showcasing Chinese culture, which delighted the crowd. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Remarkable. An asteroid sample collected by NASA has touched down on Earth, giving scientists the to learn more about the origins of the solar system and capturing a piece of a massive space rock that has a chance of colliding with our planet in the future. It's the first time the agency has accomplished such a feat. 7 years after launching to space, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft flew by Earth Sunday to deliver the pristine sample from the near-Earth asteroid Bennu. French President Emmanuel Macron has said the country will end its military presence in Niger by the end of this year, 2023, because they don't want to fight terrorism anymore. President Macron was speaking during an interview on television. He says the withdrawal of French troops will be organized in the coming weeks and will be in coordination with the putschistes because France wants this to happen calmly. President Emmanuel Macron says he has also decided to bring back the country's ambassador to Niger, Sylvain Ete, to France a week after he said the ambassador was literally being held hostage at the French embassy. And the main news again. 4 persons, including a soldier, have been killed in an ambush along Gwaza-Limankara Road in Borno State. The 4 persons were killed on Saturday evening in a convoy comprising civilian JTF and the military who were escorting passengers along the route. Also today, President Bola Tinubu has directed security agencies to rescue the remaining female students of the Federal University Gusau Zamfara State who were recently abducted by terrorists. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Have a good night.